Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Indie Zone podcast. My name is Kathy. We are continuing with our discussion of the Affidavit of Probable Cause, which asked for and successfully received a warrant for Mr. Kohberger's arrest. During the last episode of this presentation, we addressed page number 7. And in that portion of the PCA, Detective Payne is continuing to discuss what he is ultimately going to assert later in this PCA is the continuous travels of a single car known as Suspect Vehicle 1 that was seen in the 1122 King Road neighborhood and elsewhere in Moscow, Idaho in the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022. On page 7, notably, Detective Payne asserts that a forensic examiner who had initially found that Suspect Vehicle 1 was a 2011 to a 2013 Hyundai Elantra that, upon further review, he indicated, meaning he changed his opinion, that it could also be a 2011 to a 2016 Hyundai Elantra. However, no details were provided as to when this change in the expert opinion occurred or what led to this change in the expert opinion. And of course, because there was never a trial in this case, due to Mr. Kohberger's pleading guilty, there was not an opportunity for the defense to, for example, cross-examine the forensic examiner on such matters in open court. We're going to continue on here at the bottom of page number 7. This camera footage from Pullman, Washington was provided to the same forensic examiner. The forensic examiner identified the vehicle observed in Pullman, Washington as being a 2014 through a 2016 Hyundai Elantra. At approximately 5:25 a.m., a white sedan, which was consistent with the description of Suspect Vehicle 1, was observed on 5 cameras in Pullman, Washington, and on WSU campus cameras. The first camera that recorded the white sedan was located at 1300 Johnson Road in Pullman. The white sedan was observed traveling northbound on Johnson Road. Johnson Road leads directly back to West Palouse River Drive in Moscow, which intersects with Conestoga Drive. The white sedan was then observed turning north on Bishop Boulevard and northwest on State Road 270. At approximately 5:27 a.m., the white Elantra was observed on cameras traveling northbound on Stadium Way at Nevada Street, Stadium Way at Grimes Way, Stadium Drive at Wilson Road, and Stadium Way at Cougar Way. Depiction showing Moscow and Pullman. And here, ladies and gentlemen, is the first of 4 depictions that Detective Payne has included in the Affidavit of Probable Cause. And again, it says here, just above it, depiction showing Moscow and Pullman. And then the very last sentence, page number 8, depiction showing white Elantra's path of travel, and then in parentheses, not to scale. This concludes page number 8. So, ladies and gentlemen, if I could add a few comments, a few opinions, some rhetorical questions, speculation completely based on the First Amendment to the United States Constitution. First, later on, what we're going to learn in this PCA is that the reason why Detective Payne here is focusing on the connection of roads between Moscow and Pullman, why he's addressing this car's travels through Pullman around Stadium Way, around Washington State University, is that he is going to ultimately make the argument that this is one car that is continuously traveled to and from the crime scene, directly connecting it back to Mr. Kohberger's apartment in Pullman, Washington. Recall he has stated earlier in the Affidavit of Probable Cause that Pullman, Washington is directly across the border, approximately 10 miles away from Moscow, Idaho, where the crimes occurred. And he has also stated, given his opinion, that people travel regularly, routinely between these two connecting college towns, as he referred to it. He is ultimately going to show that this is one car that is traveling here, that it is a car that belongs to Mr. Kohberger. He's going to make the argument that this vehicle, suspect vehicle 1, that was seen nearby the 1122 residence, traveling around, leaving the area at a high rate of speed, as he said earlier on in the PCA, is Mr. Kohberger's car. This will ultimately be a major point that he is arguing to the judge to successfully receive that warrant. Note that the judge is not seeing such evidence as the videos that he is piecing together to make this argument. The judge is relying only on what Detective Payne is swearing to under penalty of perjury is the truth in, for example, looking at these videos. Now, these videos were not available to the public at the time that the Affidavit of Probable Cause was released to the public, as it was during the first week of January in 2023. The public did not have the benefit of these videos that apparently Detective Payne was looking at in developing what he's writing here in the PCA. They are circulating online. They were obtained through various public records requests. And I do invite you, as you follow along with us, relooking at the Affidavit of Probable Cause 3 years later, and read the Affidavit of Probable Cause for yourself. Come to your own conclusions as to the PCA is very accurately describing what is contained in those videos, and also if it is one car and not more than one car, which is what some are asserting in the community, in the public. And then finally, Detective Payne is focused on the travels of this white sedan, as he says here, at approximately 5:25 a.m. This would have been about an hour after the end of the crimes, because what he told us earlier in the PCA is that law enforcement believed that the crimes at 1122 King Road occurred between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. This will now conclude this episode of the Indie Zone podcast. Please join us next time when we will continue on, this time at page 9, where Detective Payne continues to discuss that vehicle's travels in Washington. Thank you for joining us here today.